Welcome to Fractured Chaos.
You ever watch someone rob you with a smile on their face, then shake your hand like they did you a favor? Yeah, that was my brother Cameron. He stole $180,000 from our father's estate, left me with $3,000 and a guilt trip, claimed it was just the way things worked out. Classic Cameron, always the victim of his own crimes. So I decided to give him a chance to invest that stolen money into a fake business, run by me, filmed by me, and taken down by people I hired, dressed like the FBI. Let's just say my brother's next investment is in prison time, and I filmed everything. Our dad didn't trust banks or lawyers. He had money in envelopes. Real boomer energy. Said the financial system was designed to rob the working man. Dad kept it all in a fireproof safe behind the ugliest painting you've ever seen, a barn scene he bought at a gas station in 1987. Before he passed, he squeezed my hand and whispered, "Split it 50-50 with Cam. I know you'll do the right thing." His last words weren't profound wisdom, just faith in the wrong son. I did exactly as he asked. I handed Cameron the envelopes, told him to count it himself. We sat at Dad's kitchen table, the same one where we'd eaten Sunday dinners for 30 years, and I watched him thumb through each stack. His eyes gleamed like a slot machine hitting jackpot. 366,000, he announced, then slid half across to me. 3 weeks later, he calls me from the valet line at Nobu and tells me the money's gone. Gone? He bought a Tesla Model X, got hair plugs that made him look like a Ken doll left too close to a heat lamp, flew to Dubai for networking, posted Instagram stories from a yacht. Networking with who, Cameron? Influencer gym bros who skip leg day and sell e-books about getting rich? I called a lawyer. He said unless there's a will or paper trail, it's his word against mine. Family disputes over cash are nearly impossible to prove, he told me, especially when you voluntarily handed it over. So, I let Cameron enjoy his little life upgrade, while I built a trap. I created a startup that doesn't exist, a crypto-based luxury concierge service called Vault Key. The premise was brilliant in its vagueness, exclusive access to luxury experiences through blockchain verification. The Netflix of high net worth living, I called it. Website? Fake. Built using a template and stock photos of private jets and infinity pools. Team? AI headshots with biographies mentioning Harvard, Stanford, and early executive at Google. Client list? Names from our high school yearbook mixed with minor celebrities Cameron wouldn't recognize but wouldn't admit he didn't know. And I knew exactly what would sell him. Exclusivity and FOMO. His twin weaknesses since childhood. An exclusive pitch dinner. At a rented penthouse in West Hollywood. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Catering that cost me 2 months' rent. A sommelier I found on TaskRabbit who actually knew his wines. Cameron didn't just take the bait. He brought 3 friends, finance bros with Patagonia vests and identical haircuts who called each other chief and boss. And a Louis Vuitton duffel bag with $50K in cash, vacuum sealed like he'd watched too many episodes of Ozark. Said he was getting in early. I was recording the entire thing from 3 different angles. Hidden cameras disguised as smart home devices, all feeding directly to encrypted cloud storage. I wore a watch I rented, a Patek Philippe that cost more than my car. Had 2 fake co-founders, both actors from Craigslist who studied tech jargon for a week. Use words like blockchain, tiered equity, pre-market leverage, and institutional adoption metrics. Cameron nodded like he understood any of it. Same way he used to nod when Dad tried to teach us about carburetor maintenance, comprehending nothing but too insecure to admit it. He said, "I want 20%. I said, "You'll get 5 and a custom NFT membership card." He asked, "What does that do?" I told him, "It gets you in rooms where nobody asks questions." That was all he needed. The promise of belonging somewhere exclusive, his lifelong obsession. He Venmo'd the first 10K that night, posted an Instagram story holding up champagne with the caption, "Watch me turn 6 figures into 7. Hashtag Vault Key Early Investor. Hashtag Wealth in Silence." I screenshotted everything. Methodically cataloged his digital fingerprints like a forensic accountant with a vendetta. 3 days later, Cameron asked when he'd get his investor dashboard login. I said, "Soon. We're migrating the protocol to a more secure framework. Just technical enough to sound legitimate without meaning anything at all." He replied with a thumbs up and sent me another 15K. "Showing my commitment to the vision," he texted. What vision? I never even told him what Vault Key actually did beyond vague luxury promises. I told him, "You're gonna want to keep this quiet. Big stuff's coming. Don't get flagged by regulators." He said, "Say less." Then immediately told everyone with ears about his ground floor opportunity. The irony wasn't lost on me. So, I sent him a fake NDA, 16 pages of legal jargon I copied from templates online, and a fake email warning him not to disclose any financials yet due to pending partnerships with major financial institutions. He signed it without reading past page 2. I watched him scroll through it at warp speed over FaceTime, nodding as if absorbing every word. From that moment forward, he couldn't even admit he was scammed without incriminating himself. The perfect trap. His ego would keep him silent. Here's where it gets spicy. I hired 2 friends to pose as federal agents. Suits, badges, the whole Netflix drama package. One was an actor who'd played a detective in a local theater production. The other was my college roommate who now works in corporate security. They practiced their stern government faces for a week. We staged a raid at the same penthouse. Lights, knock. "Mr. Carter, we need to talk about your investment activities." All captured on the same hidden cameras. They told him Vault Key was under federal investigation for securities fraud and wire transfers tied to overseas shell companies. Showed him evidence of criminal activity, documents I'd created with just enough official letterhead to look authentic. Cameron folded like cheap IKEA furniture on moving day. He started name-dropping people. Said he didn't know it was shady. Tried to rat on me without realizing I was in another room, watching through the hidden cameras, sipping the same expensive whiskey he'd bragged about knowing. He even offered to testify. "I can give you everyone involved," he said, voice shaking. I was just a passive investor. I took all the footage and packaged it into a neat 10-minute clip titled Cameron Carter, Voluntary Confession. Edited it with captions highlighting each incriminating statement. And I sent it to the IRS whistleblower hotline, along with bank transfers, screenshots, and one killer line he said on camera, "I don't ask questions, I just move the money. That's how this game works." Within 2 weeks, he was under real investigation for tax fraud, illegal investment activities, and failing to report large cash movements. Turns out, when you show up with $50K in cash and no explanation where it came from, actual federal agents get curious. You know what the kicker was? He tried to sue me, claimed I lured him into a criminal setup. Hired the same lawyer who got his DUI reduced in college, a man with eyebrows like caterpillars and a Newport cigarette permanently attached to his lower lip. But remember that NDA, that fake legal doc? It included a clause that he acknowledged all risks and certified he was the one managing the funds. Section 8.3, paragraph 4. Investor assumes complete responsibility for regulatory compliance and tax reporting of all transactions. Signed, dated, time-stamped. His own digital signature becoming the shovel that dug his grave. Checkmate. Cameron now drives a Hyundai. Not even a new one. A 2014 model with mismatched door panels. The Tesla, seized as part of the asset recovery. The hair plugs, receding again. Stress is follicle kryptonite. And he blames the deep state for everything. Posts conspiracy theories on alternative social media platforms where his new friends have usernames like Patriot Eagle, Sin76, and Novak's Warrior. Meanwhile, I started a real business. A legitimate financial literacy platform for families managing inherited assets. Named it after Dad. And you know what funded it? The $65K he gave me. I figured he owed me that. Plus interest. Plus pain and suffering. Plus the therapy bills from watching him blow through our father's life savings like it was monopoly money. Was it legal? Let's just say, no one's asked yet. My lawyer friend calls it creative justice in a gray area. I call it the education Cameron always needed but never got. Last month I saw him at our cousin's wedding. He was wearing a suit 2 sizes too big, probably borrowed. His date was his high school girlfriend who still thinks his stories about temporary setbacks are charming. He avoided me until the open bar hit him with liquid courage. Then he cornered me by the bathroom. "You ruined my life," he whispered, breath sour with cheap scotch. "No," I replied, straightening his crooked tie like our father used to do. "You did that all by yourself. I just provided the spotlight." The other day he called me. Number blocked, but I knew his voice instantly. Said, "I know what you did?" I said, "Then you know better than to tell anyone." He paused. I heard ice clinking in a glass, the sound of a man drinking alone on a Tuesday afternoon. Then he asked if I had any new investment opportunities coming up. Said he'd learned his lesson and had some new capital from an inheritance. Our aunt had passed away last month. I wondered if he'd already converted her vintage jewelry collection into whatever cryptocurrency was trending that week. Some people never learn, but me, I never forget, and I never stop recording. That's the thing about my brother. He thinks life is a game where rules are for other people, but I've learned something he hasn't. Every game needs a scorekeeper.